Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us today. I hope you guys all had a great weekend. It's been a rough weekend, a rough Monday for the Marxist Dems. It was a rough weekend for all Trump haters as President Trump headed over to the reopening of Notre Dame, meeting with some world leaders as President Joe Biden was really nowhere to be found. His wife was to be found sitting next to President Trump at the proceedings there, looking like she was having a grand old time with Ashley Biden as well. As President Trump met with Macron and other world leaders to discuss, I guess, policy and what's going to happen now moving forward that lame duck Joe Biden is leaving the White House. President Trump also taking some time out of his weekend to join Marxist Dem Kristen Welker on Meet the Press. Another Marxist Dem who just can't seem to grapple with the facts, folks. In just a few minutes, we're going to be joined by one of Breitbart's best, Wendell Husebo, to take up all the reporting that the mainstream media has done and all the reporting that the mainstream media hasn't done. I want to roll a clip for you guys of President Trump on Meet the Press over the weekend, and just the line of questioning from Kristen Welker. These people, folks, they either have to fall in line and get in place or just get the hell out because America's had enough. President Trump won on November 5th with a decisive victory, over 50% of the population voting for President Trump. So these folks have to fall in line or not, or get the hell out, because the distrust in the media is through the roof. People are not buying their garbage anymore, and the American people see right through it. And I think it's why President Trump's victory was so resounding. So here's a clip. Here's a short clip of President Trump with Kristen Welker over the weekend.
Just remember, unselect committee, a year and a half of sworn testimony, and after getting all of the testimony, they deleted it. And they destroyed almost everything. There's nothing left. It's unprecedented.
And they deny doing that.
If you do that in a civil case, you go to jail.
You know they deny doing that. And officials say that the order never came in for the National Guard.
A statement.
On January 6th, let me ask you this about January 6th. I think
Benny
you're going to want to
Thompson
answer
wrote
this.
in a statement that he has destroyed all evidence.
Let me ask you this about January 6th.
I wish you could be you have such potential. If you could be just non-biased, you hurt yourself so badly. I'm telling you, they deleted and destroyed all the evidence. Everyone knows it. And you slough it off like it doesn't mean anything.
No, I'm just saying they deny it. That's all I'm saying.
Kristen, if I did it, you would be standing up in that chair shouting at me. And you know what I'd do? I'd say, you got me. They have done something so illegal. They have a committee sworn to, and because it was so bad, the only reason they did it is because the testimony turned out to be in favor of me. Like Secret Service testified and disputed everything. It made them into a bunch of liars. Not Secret Service, it made the people. They got rid of it because it made Nancy Pelosi, the mayor of D.C., so many people look like criminals. And I will tell you, it's illegal for them to delete and to destroy that evidence.
Let me ask.
The press was obviously unfair to me. The press, no president has ever gotten treated by the press like I was. And yet I got more votes than any Republican candidate in history. By far. It's not even close. So you say, what's that all about? The press has to straighten itself out because, honestly, it's lost all credibility. When that can happen, based on the press, I should have gotten no votes. None. And yet I got the highest number ever. And the reason is because I'm able to go on a show, even like yours, even though you're very hostile, I'm able to go on a show like yours. No, you are.
Well, hopefully you thought it was a fair interview. We covered a lot of policy ground.
It's fair only in that you allowed me to say what I say. But, the answers, the questions are, pretty nasty. But look, because I've seen you interview other people like Biden. And
I've never interviewed President Biden. Actually.
When I say you, I'm talking metaphorically. I've seen George Stephanopoulos interview Biden, and he's a tough interviewer. It's the softest interview. I've seen CNN interview him. They give these soft, what's your favorite ice cream? It's a whole different deal. I don't understand why. You would think the press would like to see strong borders, great education, a powerful military, so we have a country left, and all these different things. And somehow they don't want to see that.
You saw President Trump mentioning the most votes in history for a Republican he was talking about. But I'd even argue it was the most votes in history for any presidential candidate. And I think with this new incoming administration. We may soon find out that be true and that 2020 election was indeed stolen and the 2020 election was indeed fraudulent and that Joe Biden didn't actually receive 81 million votes, which would then bring President Trump to the most votes in history at just over 77 million. But I guess we're going to have to wait and see as for how that plays out. But President Trump, I think that was one of his greatest interviews he's done in recent times, calling out Kristen Welker for just the deceitfulness of what they do to the American people and the lies and distrust that people possess because of the lies that they've told us. I want to bring in someone today who is our guest today, who tells the truth and does an absolute great job of it. He's Wendell Husebo of the great Breitbart, where we get most of our news here. Wendell, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Great America Show. I appreciate it. And I like I told you before we got on here, Lou was a big fan of yours and all the great reporting you've done, folks. If you want to know anything about Biden corruption, just go to Breitbart.com and type in Wendell's name in the search bar, and you'll find all the great work that Wendell did uncovering the Biden crime family, the Comer investigation, everything that went into it. Wendell, I want to start with first, President Trump over the weekend looking just absolutely dominant, going to see Macron, pulling his hand out of his socket, seeing some of the royal family. It looks like he's already president. Is that what you're seeing here?
That's exactly what I see here, John. It seems like Joe Biden has already left the Oval Office. In fact, Politico had a story out this morning saying that Joe Biden has already left the Oval Office, and I guess he only has 42 days left. But where is Joe Biden? And, we're not exactly sure, but Donald Trump appears to be taking the reins already. And, just the way that he was greeted by Macron, that huge long handshake. I mean, I think it must have lasted a minute, at least 30 seconds. And, they seem to be old buddies, old pals. He met with the Prime Minister of Italy. They seem to be having a great rapport, seem to be working on the world's problems already. And so it's really good to see a steady hand at the wheel.
The funniest part about it all, for everyone who hasn't seen it yet, and now President Trump's using this picture to sell some new cologne, is President Trump sitting there next to Jill Biden, and they're looking like they're lovers. Obviously, they're not. Melania's far more beautiful and genuine than Jill Biden. Dr. Jill Biden, of course, PhD Jill Biden. But he's sitting there, and Ashley Biden's looking on, laughing and smiling. We often hear, Wendell, about maybe the Bidens voted for Donald Trump. And just a few hours after she departed France, she went back to D.C. For an event there, and they saw the Harrises, Kamala and her husband, and they did not even look at them. You're a D.C. fella. Is the hate real? Do the Bidens really actually hate the Harrises? Did Jill Biden vote for Donald Trump?
I believe they tried to throw him in jail, but as soon as the Democrat Party decided that they no longer wanted Joe Biden to be on the ticket, I think Joe Biden and maybe Jill Biden too started singing a different tune, and they realized that, hey, you know what? We're so angry with Kamala, we're so angry with Obama, we're so angry with Pelosi that we're gonna get on the Trump train. And wasn't it election day that Jill Biden was wearing a red dress? Come on, if that's not a signal, what else is?
Well, even before that, on 9/11, you had Joe Biden in Shakersville, Pennsylvania, puts on the MAGA hat and he wore it around for a few seconds. It's so alarming to me, and it's nice to see that the Democrats are getting a taste of their own medicine. Joe Biden sat there and he did whatever they wanted. I don't believe it was Joe Biden who was the one who made the call to come after President Trump. I don't like Joe Biden. I don't care for the man, but I don't think it was ultimately his call to go ahead and do so. I think he's so mentally incompetent and just not there that he couldn't put two and two together to go ahead and do it. I think the forces are a lot deeper than that. And by that, I mean Barack Hussein Obama and his cronies who put his cabinet together. And Joe Biden didn't put his cabinet together. It was Barack Obama who placed Anthony Blinken, who placed Merrick Garland, who placed the rest of these folks. And so I don't believe it was Joe Biden. Now, it doesn't make Joe Biden a good man. In fact, Joe Biden's a terrible man. And you're going to attest to that in just a few moments as we go through some of the things that you've uncovered and reported on about the Biden crime family. But I do believe there's a deeper force, and that force is, we hear it often that it's Barack Obama who made the call to get Joe Biden out of there. the Democrat Party blamed George Clooney, which I'm not entirely sure where they came up with that. But if you're giving George Clooney enough power in your party, then you guys got to reevaluate something else. Who do you believe is truly behind this cabal, both in the Democratic Party, both against the Republican Party?
I think we have to remember when we talk about left versus right in America, it's really the establishment versus everyone else. You have establishment Republicans, you have establishment Democrats, and then you have some kingpins at the top. You mentioned one of them being Obama. And I think Biden, to your point, has and always was kind of on the outside. He was always looking in. He was never, at the top of the heap as far as being Mr. Popular. He always wanted to be Mr. Popular. He always wanted to be president. He became president. And you're right. I think Obama was instrumental in his administration a lot. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, Joe Biden was the president. And under his administration, there were a series of legal actions taken against Donald Trump. And so Biden bears responsibility. I think you can point fingers at him, but nevertheless, you're right. It's a whole apparatus up here, and it's the establishment that we're at war with. And so that's why I'm so pleased that President Trump won the election, because I think his mandate is to drain the swamp. We need to get rid of some of these bureaucrats that do not believe in America First principles and who tried to impede President Trump in the first term. Maybe President Trump didn't select perfect people to go in the first administration, but I think this time around he has done a far better job. And I have a lot of hope that he'll carry out the purge of the administrative state.
And the other thing is, Wendell, I don't care. You have these people now, they've come after Pete Hegseth, right? I know Pete personally from working with him at Fox News. I know him to be a good man. They come after him, and that's sort of starting to fall apart now. And you've got rhinos like Joni Ernst, who's up for re-election in 2026, who has a lot to lose, who was one of the ones who was maybe trying to thwart it because she allegedly wants the post, which I can assure everyone there's no way in hell she would get it after doing something like that and the embarrassment she caused. But it seems like they're starting to come around. Now we're hearing a little bit less about Pete Hegseth, and we're hearing about Tulsi Gabbard, and they're going to try to move on now to Tulsi Gabbard. And folks, this is reporting from Wendell himself. Tell us a little about what's going on there. Have they given up on and trying to get Hegseth out of there and moved on to now Tulsi, who I think is going to be a lot harder of a time to get out of there than Hegseth would have been?
Part of my job as a reporter is to read all the news possible. And so the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I read Politico Playbook. Politico Playbook is a morning newsletter put out by the bigwigs at the establishment media, Politico, and they kind of set the tone for the day, for the week. And at the top of this morning's Politico Playbook was an attack on Gabbard. It wasn't an attack on Pete Hegseth. It was an attack on Gabbard. And so that just tells you that last week, the Democrats and their allies in the media had a terrible time trying to tear down Pete Hegseth. And so they're trying to move on to the new target of Gabbard. They're trying to smear her. It's, totally ridiculous. I find Gabbard completely credible, as I do Pete Hegseth, and I expect both of them to be confirmed. And I think you saw Senator Tom Cotton, who holds a leadership position in the Senate, say that, hey, he expects all these guys to be confirmed. So those confirmations will begin in January, I'm told, and so we're going to knock them down one by one. We're going to support each one of them.
Now, what exactly can they go after Gabbard about? You hear time and time again, oh, she's a Russian stooge, she's a stooge. Wendell, anyone who's spoken out against Zelensky's overreach of just asking for billions and billions of dollars, anyone who's spoken out against that is all of a sudden a Russian asset, a Russian spy. Tucker Carlson went over to Russia to interview one of their high-ranking officials. I think he was the defense minister. And, this was after he interviewed Putin. And he's all of a sudden now he's all in for Russia. Why is it? It's like if you want the truth and you want the justice and you want to figure out what's going on and it has anything to do with Russia, you're all of a sudden a Russian spy, you're a Russian asset, you're no good, you're creating espionage. What is there that's so bad about Tulsi Gabbard that I'm just really not seeing?
I don't know what's so bad about her, but I can tell you what, that Russian talking point from the Democrat Party is so reused. It's so old. I'm sure, it just seems like the Democrat Party, they're unimaginative. They have no solutions. They are not creative. They can't think on their feet. They're not able to start businesses, it seems so. And so they just come up with these fake smears. And of course, we all know this is what they tried to do to Trump. It's the same playbook. It started with Hillary Clinton and her campaign. And so, they're just trying to roll through Gabbard. But I don't think it's going to work because guess what? The majority of Americans elected Donald Trump. Donald Trump is going to be president, and people saw through the hoaxes.
Yep, you're absolutely right. I want to take a quick break. We're talking with Wendell Husebo of the great Breitbart, and Wendell had mentioned his morning reads. When I wake up in the morning, my first morning read is Breitbart, and I go see what Wendell's working on, and then I move on to the Daily Mail, and I move on to the rest of the Marxist run ones to see what the hell they're talking about. But Breitbart's my first one on the list. We're coming right back with Wendell Husebo of Breitbart. Folks, stay with us.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98, or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free.
Folks, we're back with Wendell Husebo of the great Breitbart. Wendell, I want to turn to something that's very interesting. We're at the time of the year where we're about to go into the next year, 2025, which means Time Magazine is getting ready to put out their Person of the Year. I want to read some names for you on who's the short list of these folks. Donald Trump, it should come as no surprise. Kamala Harris, that comes as a very big surprise. She's a loser. Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Joe Rogan, Benjamin Netanyahu, Jerome Powell, Kate Middleton, and Claudia Sheinbaum, the new president of Mexico. Give me your thoughts, Wendell, as a journalist. Who is going to be Time Magazine's Person of the Year?
I tell you what, the Time has gotten this wrong most of the time. It wouldn't surprise me if they chose Mitch McConnell. He is something else. I tell you what, he's been in power so long. I believe it's since 1985 or 83. And just the other day, I think he said something like he's not responsible for managing the decline of the United States. Yep. And I'm thinking to myself, wait, you've been in power for a long, long, long time, 30 years or more, and you're accusing MAGA of managed decline, but MAGA has only been around for what, less than 10 years? How in the world could it be America first and not Cocaine Mitch, as many people used to call him?
Yep.
And, through his tenure, our debt has risen over 35 trillion. We've gotten a flood of illegals. We haven't had a pay increase. The American worker hasn't had a pay increase since the 70s. Things are not great in America. And for Joe, I was confusing Joe Biden with Mitch McConnell because they're synonymous. They're actually the same guy. They're part of the establishment and part of the administrative state. And so at the end of the day, Mitch McConnell, he hasn't done very much for the American worker.
I want to go into a few other things that you'd missed, but you'd written about in Breitbart. Obamacare that was passed under Mitch McConnell, the big bank bailout in 2008 under Mitch McConnell, the social media company silencing individuals without repercussions under Mitch McConnell. How about Mitch McConnell's ties to the CCP and his wife Elaine Chao's ties to the CCP? Well, no, this is the same fellow who told us we were going to lose this year because of MAGA, because of Make America Great Again, because of America First. What in the world is going on? Is he running for re-election in 2026?
I don't think he's declared yet. I'm not sure if he's declared, But, Mitch McConnell is just a part of the old guard of the Republican Party. And, there's a political realignment going on, and Donald Trump is spearheading that political realignment. And we're seeing the emergence of some new warriors. And some of those warriors Trump has nominated for his cabinet, and the Republican Senate will most likely confirm all of them, or should confirm all of them. And, Senator J.D. Vance is another strong warrior that I think will be a strong leader in the future, even post-Trump. Because, as you know, Trump will be president for 4 years. He's going to do a terrific job. And then there's going to be another battle that's going to occur. And that battle is going to be between the establishment and between the populist right, the economic nationalists. And so we're going to have to stay united through these 4 years to get through 4 years of positive changes that the country needs, and that have not occurred under Mitch McConnell.
I agree with you to an extent, but then I think at the election that we just had, and I'm not talking about the one on November 5th, talking about the one that was done in secret ballot, Wendell, the one that was done in the Senate, where we elected as the American people, John Thune to become the next leader of the Senate on behalf of the Republicans, who's honestly cut from the same cloth as Mitch McConnell. The man's a rhino. You've got mentioned Tom Cotton. Tom Cotton, folks, don't be fooled. He's another rhino. If you look at the list of senators, the Republican senators there's really only a handful of them or true solid conservatives. Now, there's folks who have come a long way who 5 years ago I'd consider a rhino. Mike Lee, one of them. Mike Lee was a huge proponent of H-1B visas and the government handout. I think Lou actually called him one day the senator from Mumbai because he was all for bringing in H-1B skilled workers. He's one that I'd say can come a long way. He was come a long way. There's very few of them. Ted Cruz has come around. Senator Rand Paul, all people who fought a bitter primary against Donald Trump in 2016. But I think now put the greater good of the country forward and are on board. But Wendell, how do we get things forward when you have Mitch McConnell's son, probably old enough to be his son, John Thune now running the show?
If you ask me, I'm a fan of cheering for people when they do well and booing them for when they do bad. Yeah. If you're always booing people, even though they're, haven't done anything bad yet in a new position, then you're not giving them an incentive or encouraging them in the right direction. And so with, our new leader in the Senate, Thune, I'm hopeful that he will do a great job. Donald Trump has a mandate. The Republican Party doesn't have a mandate. And so Thune, I hope, can understand that Donald Trump is the leader of the party. Everyone voted for Trump. Down ticket, Republicans were not very successful, or not as successful as they should have been. Right. Donald Trump was very successful. And so if Thune just puts that in his back pocket and remembers that Donald Trump is the leader of the party and his policies should move forward to change and to reform the administrative state, then I think Thune will do very well. And so I'm very hesitant to criticize Thune when he hasn't yet, made a mistake. But as soon as he makes a mistake, or if he makes a mistake, I'm going to be there. And I know a lot of people at Breitbart are going to be there to, try to correct the course for him.
No, of course, and I'm only going off of what his record was in the past, because that's all we can go off of, right? But it's just the precedent, Wendell. It's the way that they went about doing this election. Why does everything have to be secretive? Rick Scott was on the ballot running for the same position. I'm not exactly happy about Rick Scott either. I don't think he's exactly as conservative as he should be, being from Florida, but I thought he was a better choice than John Thune. Nonetheless, they put this thing through on a secret ballot. The other thing I think we have to do, Wendell, and I hope to God that you do it because I come out here and do it every single day on this show, is hold their feet to the fire immediately and scorch these people, because we have them up for a bunch of these guys up for re-election in 2026. A lot of rhinos. Susan Collins, Sullivan out in Alaska. You've got Mike Rounds, who's out here talking about we don't need a new FBI director. Who the hell are you fooling, buddy? We can't let it go by anymore. You had said there's a mandate by the American people, and it's so true. President Trump's victory, like I said in my opening monologue, I think President Trump got the most votes in history of the country That 81 million Joe Biden got, I think there's a massive asterisk on it. And I think any person with a brain who looks at the numbers that the Democrats have gotten over the last 5 or 6 election cycles realize that there was something wrong in 2020, that the spike in votes, when you had people at home from COVID, people not being allowed to go out and vote, the spike in votes, yet you had the most votes in history. I think we're going to find out in 2025. There was something wrong with that election. But we have to hold, Wendell, we have to hold these people's feet to the fire. These folks who are up for re-election in 2026, each and every one of them. You want to come out and not support President Trump's nominees after he just won this resounding victory, winning the popular vote? You see some of these poll numbers. People want deportations. You see his poll numbers on his job approval through the roof. He's going to go into the Oval Office, Wendell, some of the highest approval ratings, job approval ratings for a Republican ever. What's your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, I think we have a lot of opportunity ahead, and I don't want to get over our skis, but I think we got a lot of opportunity ahead, and I'm pleased with a lot of the decisions that have been made so far. And I think over the next 4 years, we're going to see the Democrats try to realign themselves. They're going to try to figure out how they can best fight Donald Trump's agenda. And I don't think that they've figured that out yet. I think right now they're rattled. I think Schumer and Jeffries have been very quiet. They haven't made a lot of public statements. They haven't really drawn the battle lines yet. In fact, some Democrats have even said, we'll work with Elon and Vivek on reforming government waste and things like that, which, that's good. We'll see if that holds. We're just going to have to wait and see to understand the Democrats' line of defense, because we know they will create a line of defense. They're never going to go along with a very popular president and help the American people out. They're just not going to do that. They won't be able to fundraise off of that very well. They would be admitting defeat. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. But Wendell, to see some of these folks, these Democrats, come out and start complaining about Elon Musk being everywhere with Trump, I think it's hysterical. I love it. Elon Musk traveling around everywhere with his kid at Mar-a-Lago, going over. In 2016 and before he lost in 2020, people were complaining about the people he hung around. He's hanging around the world's richest man, okay, and the world's, in my opinion, probably the smartest man to ever walk this planet, with everything this man has been able to do. And yet you hear people on the left, what is Elon Musk doing with President Trump? Why is he hanging around him? It's like, who the hell else do you want him to hang around? Do you want him to be hanging around Mitch McConnell, who, as you pointed out, has us $35 trillion in debt, has us on Obamacare, has us with 20 million illegals in this country? I mean, get a grip, people. You had mentioned the Democrats' messaging, and interesting enough, you had a piece out on this. Outgoing DNC chair says identity politics should remain the central message after the landslide loss. Jamie Harris believes identity politics should remain in the Democratic Party. These people, Wendell, don't learn from their mistakes. And I honestly think, and I really do truly believe, they are stupid. How do you get crushed so badly in this past election, yet you think running on the same message, on playing identity politics and telling people you're not black if you don't vote for me, talking about Joe Biden back in 2020, or going out there, Kamala Harris having an identity crisis. When she spoke to white people, she spoke a certain way. When she spoke to Hispanics, she spoke a certain way. And when she spoke to black folks, she spoke a different way. Yet, if we come out here and we talk about it, Wendell, we're racists. That didn't work. People saw right through it. It's why President Trump got ridiculous high numbers among the Jewish community, ridiculous high numbers among the Spanish community. You look at what he did in Miami, which is overwhelmingly Hispanic, winning Miami. You look at the black vote, overwhelming. I mean, you had people coming out supporting him, celebrities, like we've never seen before. How do they think they're going to continue to run on this losing message? It's over. What do you think?
I don't think that they think that it's a losing message. I mean, even though they were soundly defeated, I think that they think that identity politics is right. At the end of the day, they're not creative people. and all they see is what's in front of them. They just see black and white, or woman or female, or men or masculinity, and they just like point at the tree and say, "Bad man, bark." It's just like crazy. And in reality, all humans have agency. All humans have the ability to make decisions. We all have our own emotions. We're all born with different families, different circumstances, and so to treat people like a group, and that people don't have agency even within that group to make choices for themselves, is just wrong and demeaning, and really just speaks to how repulsive the Democrat Party is. And frankly, that's why I'm a Republican, because I believe that the Republican Party respects me as an individual.
It's funny you say you're a Republican, and through your readings, I never ask people what their political views are, but I couldn't tell it, because the reporting you do, I have to be honest, is very newsy and to the point without really any politics in it. So I'm glad you tell me you're Republican. But, it's the problem is, Wendell, is that the Democrats have certain people they can't extinguish from the party. Barack Obama giving a speech recently saying we need to rebuild the institutions that make diversity possible. It's like this man's living in America 60 or 70 years ago. In what world is America not diverse, Wendell? You look at the amount of women who are running Fortune 500 companies. It's more than it's ever been before, or running any company for that matter. You look at the women in leadership, Wendell. We just had a female vice president of ethnic descent, first one in history. We had Hillary Clinton run for president in 2016. She lost because she's a liar and the people didn't like her. She was a fraud. That's a woman. I mean, where we had Barack Obama, the first black president in the last 15 years or 20 years as our president of the United States. Where do these people come from that they're saying we're not a diverse nation? Just because DEI doesn't work and hiring people based on their skin color or their ethnicity doesn't work, doesn't mean we're not a diverse nation, Wendell.
And don't forget Susie Wiles being the first female chief of staff in the history of the nation, which I think is a tremendous pick by President Donald Trump. She did a great job running the campaign, managing the campaign. But at the end of the day, I think this diversity topic is a losing topic for the Democrat Party. Yeah. And the reason why it's a losing topic is because it's just a flat out lie. Normal people throughout the day do not interact with other people because of the way they, look or don't look. Normal people go into the convenience store and say, I would like a Snickers bar. May I have a Snickers bar, please? Here's $3 or whatever a Snickers bar costs. They don't go in saying, oh my goodness, I can't go into this store because it's whatever. No, it's like normal people act normal ways. And so the Democrat Party trying to force this fake identity politics down people's throat and pretend that diversity is the only thing that matters is not true. And the underlying principle of diversity or of equity and inclusion is that it's really just a politics of resentment. They use it as a cudgel towards people who they're angry and who they accuse of pulling one over on them. They say, many times that white males are, not fair with them, and that white males get certain treatment that other people don't. Well, okay, maybe there's specific instances that happens, and that's true. But in the end, I think that they really just use that as a crutch. That's my personal opinion. And as far as my political association or views, I really do believe that this is a country that's divided amongst the establishment and the non-establishment. The right and left is, I think, a fake division made by the media to keep everybody arguing and no one solving the problems that is being generated by the establishment.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The truth of the matter is, Wendell, is the white man, you mentioned white male, is the new minority. Diversity is hurting. He wants to talk about diversity and making things more diverse in DEI. Why is there a quota that you have to accept a certain amount of blacks or Hispanics into colleges? Why does that even matter? So you want to talk about that? I have a friend, I told the story on the show the other day, who's a pilot for a major airline, an airline pilot, and he went to go work for one company. He met with a recruiter, nice guy. He's a white gentleman, a white straight gentleman, evangelical. He wears a "What Would Jesus Do" bracelet on his wrist. He went for a job. He met with the recruiter of this major airline, and the recruiter after the event went up to him and said, "Hey, I just want to let you know you're a great guy. I really like you. I wish we could hire you, but we're not going to hire you." And he said, "Why?" He said, "Off the record, it's because you're a white male." I mean, that's unbelievable. Now you're talking about a job as an airline pilot where it matters who you're putting in the cockpit, and you're not just hiring someone based off of skin color. But that's what we're up against, in this industry alone. Lou sat me down one day and he said, "John, listen, you're a straight white male. You're going to have a hard time making it in this industry." And I said, "Game on, Lou. Let's get the F to it because I don't care." But that's what we're up against. And these folks want to talk about diversity. I'll tell you who's been hurt by this whole diversity, equity, inclusion nonsense is the black folks, the legal Hispanic folks who are in this country. We have over 20 million illegals in this country, Wendell, who are taking the jobs of hardworking African Americans, who are taking the jobs of hardworking legal Hispanics, who are taking the jobs of hardworking white men, Chinese men. You pick what you want. Those are the folks who are suffering. And like I said, it's why President Trump had such a resounding victory among these minority groups in this last election. I want to take a quick break. We're coming right back with Wendell Husebo of Breitbart. We're going to go a little bit deeper into the Biden crime family. We haven't talked about it yet, but we're going to talk about it. And we're going to talk about President Trump's possible retribution tour, or will there even be one? We're coming right back with Wendell Husebo of Breitbart, folks. Stay with us.
Because of your overwhelming support, our $14.88 MyPillow has been one of the biggest sales in MyPillow history. I couldn't think of a better way to say thank you than to extend our wholesale pricing through Christmas. Get a classic standard MyPillow for only $14.88. Upgrade to a queen size, just $18.88. King size, only $1 more. Get my body pillows for only $29.88. And ready? Multi-use MyPillows, only $9.88. It's perfect time to stock up for Christmas gifts for everyone on your list. Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our wholesale pricing. Including my classic standard MyPillow is only $14.88. But that's not all. I'm so confident you're going to love our classic MyPillows that I'm going to extend my 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st, 2025. Plus, orders over $75 ship absolutely free.
We're back, folks. We're talking with Wendell Husebo of Breitbart, one of the greatest reporters over there when it comes to uncovering criminal acts, particularly when it comes to the Biden crime family. Wendell, I want to get to retribution. It's a word we've heard about. The Democrats don't like it. Of course, they don't like it because they deserve it for everything they've done to this country. But President Trump was on, like I mentioned earlier, with Kristen Welker on Meet the Press this weekend. And here's his plans as for what his retribution is for the Democrats.
I'm really looking to make our country successful. I'm not looking to go back into the past. I'm looking to make our country successful. Retribution will be through success. If we can make this country successful, that would be my greatest. That would be such a great achievement. Bring it back. We have a country now that's overridden with crime, that has millions of people that shouldn't be here, that should be in prisons in other countries, that should be in mental institutions. We have drug lords being dropped into our country and told never go back to their country. I'm looking to make our country great. I'm looking to bring prices down because, I won on two things, the border and more than immigration. They like to say immigration. I break it down more to the border, but I won on the border and I won on groceries. It's a very simple word, groceries.
An interesting answer on President Trump retribution. Now, I don't know if I really agree with it, Wendell, because of what they've done to him for the last 9 years since he came down the escalator in 2016 in Trump Tower, coming up on 10 years now in just a few weeks. And they've made his life hell, Wendell. Anyone who's surrounded themselves around him, they've made their lives hell. People going to jail, elderly men, Peter Navarro. You go down the list of people who they've made lives hell, and they're just going to get off with it and be free. What's your thoughts on retribution?
Mixed thoughts. I've spoken to a lot of different people in the conservative movement. Some people think Trump's doing the right thing, taking the high road. Other people think that, hey, we won. We have the power. Let's get some justice. Let's right the wrongs. And I think that there's room for both. Yeah. Politically, I think Trump definitely delivered the correct answer there. I think success is the best retribution. I don't think that anybody is, wants to hear the president say, yes, we're going to, go crazy on everybody. And maybe he will, maybe he won't. I don't know. But I as a journalist, covering the Hunter Biden family for the Joe Biden crime family for so long, there certainly does need to be some justice. People do need to be held accountable for what happened. I mean, Politico, for instance, still has not issued a correction for printing the story about the 51 ex-Intel officials saying that Hunter Biden's laptop was allegedly Russian disinformation. That was just flat out wrong. They still have not issued a correction. Why haven't they? That's for Politico to answer.
Yeah, there definitely needs to be a lot of answers. The media is among the biggest criminals of them all. With all of the deceitfulness and bad things that they've done to the American people and put upon the American people. The other one is the Biden crime family, and I want to get into that a little bit because you've read, I'm sure, hours and hours worth of transcripts and notes from James Comer's committee on the House Oversight Committee and the things that they've uncovered on the Biden crime family. What is your thoughts now as Hunter Biden is now pardoned from any wrongdoing? And the interesting thing about it, Wendell, is he's been pardoned now going back 10 years. So anything he's committed in 10 years is a blanket pardon. And he's all scot-free.
My initial take was the elites think that they're better than us. If you do something wrong, you should be held accountable. That's just 101. That's what you're taught growing up. That's what you're supposed to believe in as an American citizen, that justice will be done. That's what you hope for in a civil society. But if you're Joe Biden's son, if you're Hunter Biden, you get off scot-free. You can, commit crimes and then be pardoned for them and not serve a day in jail. You can also just not even be simply charged for alleged crimes that many accuse Hunter of doing, such as committing FARA violations, which, the Democrats in the administrative state, went after Republicans for doing. And so there's clearly a double system of justice here. That was my initial reaction.
Yeah. I mean, you can go down a laundry list of things Hunter Biden's done, all the way down to something civilly like not paying his rent, according to allegations from a past landlord. I mean, the man, Hunter Biden's not a good man. There's certain people who have done crimes, who have made mistakes in their lives, and they ask for forgiveness, and it's over. They get the forgiveness because they made a mistake in life. Hunter Biden has lived a life of crime. There's no doubt about it. Probably still doing some sort of crime. Nobody knows really where he's getting his money from these days. Joe Biden is sending another batch of money to Ukraine before he leaves office. Maybe that has something to do with where Hunter Biden's getting his money, or will he continue to get his money? I don't know. But Hunter's lived a life of crime. There's no doubt about that. We've seen it. We've lived it. And I think Joe Biden also has lived a life of crime, being a counterpart in Hunter's dirty businesses. But it seems there's going to be no political retribution for it or anything like that. I want to talk about that pardon a little bit more, because Adam Schiff told us in 2018, Wendell, that if you were to pardon the president's son, it could be an effort to obstruct justice. Take a listen to pencil neck Adam Schiff.
So the president's pardon of Scooter Libby, Congressman, has inspired you to propose new legislation. What exactly would it do?
What it would do is say that in the event the president pardons anyone in an investigation in which the president is a witness, a subject, or the target, those investigative files will all be turned over to the Congress. The Congress ought to know whether the president is using the pardon power to obstruct justice. The American people have a right to know. I think it is clearly constitutional. It doesn't prohibit him from granting a pardon, even a pardon he shouldn't grant. But it does say that we will be able to at least find out whether the president is using this power to shield himself from liability.
It offers transparency at the very least.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Congressman. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Don.
Don Lemon, who no longer has a job, I think, anywhere, being a mouthpiece for pencil neck Adam Schiff. It's funny, in the interview over the weekend with President Trump and Kristen Welker, they didn't really talk much about the Hunter Biden pardon, but what President Trump did say was that maybe Biden should offer some preemptive pardons for Liz Cheney or Adam Kinzinger or Nancy Pelosi. which may tell us the direction on what President Trump is looking at retribution-wise. And it's not retribution, because what they did with the January 6th panel, Wendell, was criminal. You heard President Trump, they deleted everything. Kristen Welker saying, oh, we're not sure they did that. That's a report. No, they did that. They did that, and they got away with it. Do you think Joe Biden offers a pardon for those folks who try to help him in his quest to get Donald Trump?
I'm not a betting man, but if I did place a bet, it would be on the side of Joe Biden pardoning at least James Biden, maybe Frank Biden, because the bottom line is Hunter Biden is a smart guy. And the reason why I say that is because he was the front man for a massive organization that had many shell companies, many bank accounts to these shell companies, and money would flow in and then all of a sudden disappear into many different shell companies and then wind up in bank accounts of, I'm not joking, Joe Biden's grandchildren. And so if that's the case, you have a whole family that's complicit in a whole scheme. And so whether or not these payments were illegal or the money transfers were illegal, that remains to be seen. That should be investigated. But if the question is Joe Biden going to pardon some of his family members, I think the first one he would start with is James Biden, because James Biden, he's Joe Biden's brother, first off, but he was more on the business end of Hunter's deals.
I'd love him to not pardon them and they start squealing like fat pigs because of all the criminal activity that Joe Biden has partaken in. You don't become a millionaire, as we all know, from being a politician for your whole entire career, Wendell. You don't have.
Where did he get those houses? Where did he get those $1 million houses?
Right.
Where did he get the money for that? I mean, come on.
You don't have your
senator salary, $180,000 to $200,000 a year. I mean,
yeah.
How do you become a millionaire with that kind of salary? I don't see it.
And you also don't have your crackhead son hanging around your house with classified documents everywhere. They want to talk about classified documents. His crackhead son was around those classified documents. President Trump's were secured away in Mar-a-Lago, and he was, rightfully able to take them as president of the United States. Joe Biden was never able to take them, yet he had them, and he got away with it. I want to get here as we wrap up, Wendell, and it's been a great discussion. We hope you come back soon. Your thoughts, as I mentioned to the audience, you covered almost all of James Comer's investigation into the Biden crime family. To me, it seems, if I know James Comer correctly, which I've gotten to know him pretty well, he's not going to let his foot off the gas, and he wants to go deeper into it because I think he's so invested in it, and he knows the corruption that the Biden family took part in, that he's going to move forward in this new Congress and still go after the Biden family to try to finish uncovering what he's already uncovered most of. What's your thoughts on how Comer proceeds now?
I think that there's a lot of loose ends in Congress right now with Comer's investigation. They never decided to impeach Joe Biden after, there was that whole investigation, that whole deal. And that was probably for political reasons. But now that Donald Trump is the president, Comer, I believe, will remain chair of the Oversight Committee. I think that there could be some further investigations from the committee, but there could also be some further investigations from the actual DOJ based upon referrals from the committee, which I know James Comer has wanted to do in the past, but, with Biden's DOJ, of course, are not going to investigate any of those things. And so I think that there is some hope that there could be accountability down the road. But again, Hunter Biden is pardoned, but that doesn't stop him from being called in to be a witness to, tattle on his uncle. So we'll see how it all goes.
I pray, Wendell, for the first time in my lifetime, we get to see Democrats held accountable for criminal acts. We saw Republicans held accountable for doing absolutely nothing wrong. So to see Democrats held accountable, I'd almost do anything for that. But I guess we'll see what happens. Wendell Husebo of Breitbart. Folks, I recommend you read his work as often as you possibly can, because it'll make you a better person, a smarter person. Wendell, come back soon, brother.
All too kind, John. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everybody, for being with us here today on The Great America Show. We hope we'll see you back here tomorrow for The Great America Show, where our quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues. We'll see you back here tomorrow, same time, same place. You know where to find us. Till then, may God bless you. May God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs.